What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Hope y'all are having a spectacular day. The NBA, the NBA has let us know they have dropped the schedules for this upcoming season, and your Denver Nuggets schedule has officially been released. And we got a lot to get into, a lot to talk about. Hope that y'all are having a great day. Hope you're having a great summer. If you need more content from me, want to see more content, make sure you slide over to Mile High Sports, where I got a video up right now talking about Nikola Jokic and Anthony Davis. But here we are. Denver Nuggets schedule releases here. The Nuggets, they have 30 games that will be nationally televised this upcoming season. They got 30 games that will be nationally televised this upcoming season. So the Nuggets, after coming off a 16-4 season in which they ran through the NBA playoffs as a bona fide favorite, the team that won the NBA championship, they dominated the competition. They were awarded by having 30 nationally televised games, which is 22 non NBA TV games, 8 games that will also be included on NBA TV. They had 16 nationally televised games with 8 with some games that qualified as, or 12 that were on NBA TV last year. So 16 non NBA TV, and they had 28 nationally televised games in total. So here they are now, 1 year later, after winning a championship. Here we are. So, initial thoughts on the schedule per Matt Moore, Locked On Nuggets, per Matt Moore, the Action Network. The Denver Nuggets will have the easiest schedule in the NBA this next upcoming season. So this is going to be really interesting. It's going to be really interesting to watch, to see how they figure this out. This is going to be a really interesting season because now the Nuggets have the momentum to carry them into the year of coming off as NBA champions. So what's this going to be? So the Nuggets schedule is actually really interesting. So you see here the Nuggets preseason schedule, as you can see at the very top, they have 4 games that will be happening at Phoenix, at Chicago, Chicago at home, the LA Clippers back to back. This will be a great opportunity just to see what the new look Nuggets look like. Obviously, no Bruce Brown, no Jeff Green. I don't think these games are going to mean much of anything. Really, you just want to get an opportunity to test out your roster and see how you're all coming together. Obviously, in the middle of the training camp, but this will be a really good opportunity to see what the team looks like. Obviously, Jokic coming back from Serbia, Jamal being back from Canada. Apparently, the new look, new freshly inked Michael Porter Jr. as well. So this is going to be a great opportunity to watch the Nuggets play. So we get through those first 5 preseason games, and then the real schedule starts, and it begins with ring night versus the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, if y'all remember the smoke between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Denver Nuggets, obviously you got Vic Lombardi calling Michael Malone the Lakers' daddy. You got all the comments being made by Michael Malone that every time the Nuggets won in the first 2 games, they would still find a way to talk about the Lakers and the Rui Hachimura adjustment and Nikola Jokic starting off the NBA playoff with a Western Conference Finals, a 30, 20, and 10 game. There were all these comments being made about the things that LeBron said and the fake retirement comments right after that. But here we are. The Denver Nuggets are playing versus the Los Angeles Lakers on ring night, which promises to be a really interesting match. The Lakers added players like Gabe Vincent, like Taurean Prince. They re-signed Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura, LeBron James and Anthony Davis on their way back, with D'Angelo Russell on the way back. They got Jackson Hayes on the roster now as well. This is going to be a great opportunity for the Denver Nuggets to carry over the momentum of the Western Conference Finals and bring it into the season, earning the first banner, earning the first rings in franchise history. Great opportunity ahead of schedule for the Denver Nuggets. So you have the Lakers on ring night. Then you play at Memphis. Remember, no Ja Morant. And then you play at Oklahoma City with Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. I believe the Nuggets were 3-1 versus the OKC Thunder last year. I believe they were undefeated with Nikola Jokic in the lineup when they played those games. And then you got Utah with the addition of John Collins, with Laurie Marketing, they're going to have a really interesting team with Walker Kessler, especially the draft picks that they got, Keontae George as well. They're going to have a really, really good young roster. So it's going to be a good opportunity to fare against them. First 4 games of the season, I think the Nuggets have a chance to start 4-0. I think especially at home on ring night, you set the tone of the season really well. And then you have an opportunity to play at Memphis, hard place to play. But again, no Ja Morant at OKC. Chet Holmgren will be playing in that game more than likely, as well as the rest of the cast that they signed in the draft, and really to continuing to carrying over a lot of the talent that they have from Josh Giddey, Williams. They're going to have a lot of good talent on that roster, but I think the Nuggets, setting the tone for the season, can figure that out. They have a chance to start 4-0. Then they play at Minnesota. See Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards again. They play at Dallas to see Luka Doncic. That game will be on ESPN. That will be their second primetime game of the season so far. Then you got Chicago, New Orleans, and then you got the Golden State on November 8th. By the way, the dashes that you see that are next to the teams, those dashes represent the in-season tournament games that the Denver Nuggets will be playing this year. So the first one will be versus the Dallas Mavericks, and then they will have an opportunity to play against the LA Clippers and New Orleans. So let's see. Lakers, Memphis, OKC, Utah, Minnesota, Dallas, Chicago, New Orleans, Golden State, and Houston. First 10 games of the year. What do you think, as you're watching this, when you play this back, what do you think the Denver Nuggets record would be first 10 games of the year? The way I'm kind of feeling about it, I think they can beat the Lakers. I think they can beat Memphis. I think they beat OKC. I think they beat Utah. I think they beat Minnesota. Dallas at home, I think they can beat Dallas. I think they can beat Chicago. I think they can lose to the New Orleans Pelicans, and I think they can beat Golden State and beat Houston. So they have an opportunity to start 9-1. Now, obviously, these are some really good teams they're going to be facing to start the season off. But carrying that momentum over, this will be a great opportunity for them to set the tone to get some really good wins to start the year off, especially versus teams like the Lakers, like Memphis, like OKC, who has playoff level talent. Minnesota made the playoffs last year. Dallas, obviously Luka and Kyrie. Pelicans, who were number 1 seed for a time and everybody was healthy. So Zion and Brandon Ingram. And then also versus the Golden State Warriors, who they also will play, as we'll see in a little bit, on Christmas Day. So then they play the Clippers in their second in-season tournament game, and then the New Orleans Pelicans in their third in-season tournament games. They play the Dallas Mavericks at home, the Clippers at home, and then they play the New Orleans Pelicans in New Orleans. So we see a lot of away games to kind of start the year off. So they have 2 games at home in the first 4. They have 3 away games in the first 5, and then 4 straight home games. And then they have an away game at Houston, a home game at the Clippers, and then 5 straight away games. 5 straight away games versus New Orleans, Cleveland, Detroit, Orlando, and Houston. So not extremely quality competition, but good enough competition. You're going to have to show up and you're going to have to get it done. So this is going to be really interesting. The Nuggets, let's see, this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So in the first 20 games, they play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 away games in the first 20 games, it looked like. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So maybe 10 away games, actually. Let me make sure I'm counting this right, y'all. So they got Houston, Clippers, San Antonio, Houston, Orlando, Detroit, Cleveland, New Orleans, Clippers, Houston, Golden State, New Orleans, Chicago, Dallas, Minnesota, Utah, Oklahoma City, Memphis, Lakers. 19 games. Looks like they play 10 on the road. So not bad. It's not bad at all. I mean, nothing to write home about, nothing to complain about. They started off road heavy last year as well. So that's kind of a part of the way the schedule has been built out for them so far. So after they get through November, they then play at Phoenix and then at Sacramento. And this is their first time playing Phoenix so far this year in the regular season. So if KD and Booker and everybody is healthy, this is going to be a really good game. A rematch in the second round. Then they play Sacramento, who was last year's 3 seed in the Western Conference, and then they play against the Atlanta. They play against Atlanta and Chicago. So really, they're mostly road heavy so far up to this portion of the season in the first 23 games. It looks like, and then the in-season knockout rounds are right here as well. So if the Nuggets advance past the group stage, then they're going to play in the knockout rounds, and then you have the sixth and the eighth are regular season games, which is the in-season tournament group play. So the extra games in the in-season tournament. Then they got Brooklyn, Oklahoma, Dallas, Toronto, Brooklyn, and then they have Charlotte, Golden State again, Memphis again, OKC again. Really interesting stretch because this is an East Coast heavy stretch on the road. They got Atlanta, Chicago, Toronto, Brooklyn, and Charlotte. So Nuggets fans, if you are in Denver, then this game is going to be a little later than what you're used to. For those of us that are on the East Coast, it's going to be a little earlier than what we're used to. And then if you're obviously in Serbia or somewhere else around the world, this is going to be a game that's going to have to stay up a little bit later for. But it's going to be good. Going to be really interesting East Coast trip. Excited to kind of see what Brooklyn looks like with another year under their belt. Charlotte, they had the second pick in the draft this year. So we'll see what they end up looking like. Golden State, really curious about CP3 and Steph and how they're going to make all that stuff work. OKC, Charlotte again. And then you get to January. You open the year off with the Charlotte Hornets. Last year, they think they opened January with the Celtics game, which was a really big game. This year, they got Charlotte, Golden State, Orlando, Detroit, Utah, New Orleans, Indiana. And then they play at Philadelphia on TNT on a Tuesday, at Philly, and then at Boston in back-to-back games, which is going to be a huge East Coast pairing. That's quite a matchup. They play at Philly, at Boston, so at Indiana, at Philly, at Boston, and then right after Philly and Boston, they play Washington and Indiana, New York, and then on the 27th they play Philadelphia in Denver, and they play Milwaukee in Denver. I think they did the same thing last year. They had, I think, Milwaukee first in Denver, and then I can't remember, maybe Milwaukee first in Denver, and then they had the 76ers in Denver. So if everybody is healthy and available, then you have a chance to see Jokic versus Giannis and versus Joel Embiid. Another top 3, top 4 MVP race again, depending on how the voters feel out Embiid after, obviously a collapse and all the propaganda the last couple of years. So we'll have to see for sure, but that's going to be a really good stretch of the schedule as well. Then we're sitting at OKC again, then Portland, Lakers, Sacramento, at Milwaukee, Sacramento, Washington, Portland, Golden State, Sacramento, Miami. The Miami Heat will come back in to play in the place that they lost the NBA Finals against the Denver Nuggets. It's going to be a really interesting month as well. They have 6 home games that month and 5 away games, it looks like. It looks like 6 home games, 5 away games. It's going to be really interesting to see that. And then March, you get into the stretch of the season where basically they cooled out last year because of how many wins they had. But, they don't have a great lead, then this can be a competitive one as well. They play at the Lakers. And they play Boston and Phoenix. Back-to-back games on TNT. They got 3 straight nationally televised games. Lakers, Phoenix, and Boston. And then they got Utah, Toronto. They got at Miami on ESPN, finals rematch. They got San Antonio, Victor Wembanyama at San Antonio, at Dallas, at Minnesota, New York at home, at Portland, and then Memphis, Phoenix, Minnesota, Cleveland, and San Antonio, all in Denver. And then they have the Clippers. Then they're playing Atlanta, then Utah, Minnesota, San Antonio, and Memphis. So really interesting schedule. I'm definitely very excited to see how that Phoenix, Boston, and Lakers 3-game stretch in March looks. I'm really excited to see that in-season tournament game is going to work. I am really curious to see how the start of the season is going to look coming off that ring. But you know what? Hey, this would be a great opportunity to set the tone for the year. But y'all, what do y'all think? Let me know. What are your favorite games in the comment section? What are you looking forward to in this upcoming season? Do you think the Denver Nuggets have a chance to have the number one seed again? Do you feel good about the Nuggets' chances that number would see, given what you see here in the schedule? And yeah, what do y'all think? It's going to be a tough year. Or do you feel like it's going to be a little bit easier, y'all? Hit the like button. Tell the people like your favorite NBA content right here. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the video, y'all. Hey, y'all know what time it is. I'll see y'all on the other side.